thing before we go live, and people are like, "Oh, we can hear you, but we can't hear Bell."
So where are we live at?
We're live on the YouTubes, the YouTube channel. I think also
Okay, so
on Twitch as well. But this is good. Let's see. Now you say some stuff.
I'm saying some stuff. So I'm going to youtube.com/TV Talk. I don't know if that's how they do it with YouTube.
Oh no, they can hear you. No, they can hear you. I just did the old testaroo. So we're good. We're
Okay.
good. We're going into the multiverse of sadness.
Heyo. I mean, it's not that sad, is it?
It's a little sad.
Now I can't hear you.
No, I just stepped away. I'm here. I'm here. This is live. What are we doing? This is professionalism. All right, you ready to do this?
Sorry, it's been a minute. Got to shake off the cobwebs.
That's right. Cowboy. Shake. All right, cobwebs
shake,
gone.
Shake. Shake those cobwebs. Doodle doodle. Shake those cobwebs. Doodle doo doo.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Ready and begin.
Welcome to Panel to Screen. I'm Bo.
And I'm Bell.
Bell, man, how you doing today, sir?
I'm feeling multiversally good.
Ooh, did you have any dreams last night?
I think I did. I don't remember. You ever like think you had a dream but you can't remember anything about it?
You know what? So this is wild. Now I'm thinking about it. I did dream last night. And I was about to say yes. I can't remember what I dreamed about last night, but it just hit me. It was deeply disturbing, and I'm not going to talk about it on air. But apparently, it's happening somewhere across the multiverse.
Yikes!
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness. Mom, as some people have called it, but those people are Freudian people. Freudians? Freudians. They're wearing fedoras. Fedora.
They're fans of philosophy and hats.
Yes, exactly.
Psychology and hats.
And we here are also actually fans of psychology and hats, now that I think about it. But regardless, we're going to be talking about this movie. It is going to be a spoilerific review. So, spoilers. Here there be spoilers, and ye been warned. All right, Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange 2. One of the first, other than Spider-Man, one of the first MCU Phase 4 projects that how do I say this? This is the first time in Phase 4. I think this is true, including Spider-Man as well. This is the first time in Phase 4 going into a movie where I felt like we were really kind of back to some extent. Like everything else that's come before has been either new or experimental or, adding some new stuff here and there and all that kind of good stuff, which is not bad. It's all good. Or in some cases, kind of pruning some stuff in the case of like Spider-Man. But regardless, like overall, this is the first one of all of the Phase 4 projects that I really felt like, okay, it's about to feel like home. That's what I thought going into this movie. But I'm curious what your thoughts were going into Multiverse of Madness. Like, how spoiled were you? What trailers did you see? Where was your head at?
Yeah, so I think I watched like the original trailer that came out. And as we got closer to the release date, there's a lot of stuff going on with work and like personal things. And I just realized it was going to be a nightmare for me and my wife to go watch the movie. And so I kind of stopped watching stuff. Like I stopped watching trailers. I stopped watching different things. And I wanted to sort of try and keep as unspoiled as possible. Unfortunately, though, there was, this was maybe like a week or so after it came out. And so, it's not like people were posting this day of, but I did see John Krasinski as...
Oh.
Yeah, as Mr. Fantastic. So, again, though, because I tried to avoid as much stuff as possible. I thought maybe it was just going to be like a sort of like quick cameo sort of thing.
Right.
And I'd also heard mention of Black Bolt. And again, I was thinking like all of these different heroes that I had heard of were going to be like quick cameos as they're bumping through the multiverse and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, yeah, it kind of sucks that the reveal was busted there, but whatever. It's probably just going to be like a quick little cameo thing, just to sort of like tease fans and whatnot. So it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. I was wrong about that in a very pleasant way. So, yes, there were some things that were spoiled. They it wasn't as bad as I thought. Like I think I heard the term Illuminati um going in, like just scrolling through Twitter. You scroll through Twitter and you see pictures and like, well, I can't unsee it now, and all this kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I wasn't too very familiar with I mean, I've heard of them in the comics. They're a group of superheroes and people who like work behind just like the regular Illuminati that's totally real and is in power and force today.
Bell, stop talking.
All of a sudden, just a dial tone.
Right. No. So this is good. So you had no knowledge. It sounds like you had no knowledge of the fact that the Illuminati were gonna which Illuminati were gonna be in this film, but you also had no knowledge of the comic book origins of the Illuminati. Is that correct?
Yeah, because it's relatively recent, right? It's not like...
Oh, interesting, Bell. Well, when you say recent, the Illuminati was introduced, I think, when you and I were... It was Marvel Civil War. And I want to say that was like late high school, early college for us.
Well, so I've collected a lot of Civil War. I don't remember the Illuminati, though.
Yeah, the Illuminati was like a tie-in comic that was also it was kind of almost like a precursor to the Civil War, which established these kind of hairline fractures under the surface of the kind of various superhero teams. And it established this idea that Tony Stark and Reed Richards had kind of decided, like, look, we've got too much stuff going on, around the universe. We need kind of our various teams to be a little bit more in communication and maybe work a little bit behind the scenes to handle some things that the team as a whole may not be all that happy with. So you had, representatives from the X-Men, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the Inhumans, all represented here. And originally the intention was Wakanda, because you had Black Panther was kind of asked to be on the Illuminati, and he was like, no, this is kind of dirty stuff. I'm not. And he actually walks away from their first ever meeting, as well as Namor, kind of representing Atlantis. So you had kind of this group of people, the Illuminati, who are doing just that. They're kind of staying in communication, and then they're making the hard decisions and taking action to potentially clean up messes in a more permanent fashion than their teammates might otherwise agree is necessary. One of the critical things they're responsible for is Planet Hulk, actually. So after
so they decide to send off Hulk.
Yes. So after an incident where Bruce Banner and the Hulk kind of go ballistic and cause a lot of damage, they finally determine, the Illuminati determines, we can't, the Hulk has become too much of a problem. The Avengers can't handle him anymore. We are going to send him up to space. And so that's what they do. They capture him. They send him up to space. They say, sorry about this. This is for your own good. Have fun. Bye. And then they send him up to space.
And that had zero repercussions whatsoever.
Yeah, no, that didn't come back to hurt them at all. In fact, let's see, you had Planet Hulk, right? I guess that kicked off Planet Hulk, but then you had World War Hulk, where he came back, and his intention was
super happy that they had marooned him on an alien spaceship.
Oh yeah, just came back like, guys, this was so good, y'all. You have no idea. Namaste. This was amazing. No. He came back and created like a gladiator pit in New York, if I'm remembering correctly. And his goal was he wanted the Illuminati to come and battle for his pleasure the same way that he had to on Planet Hulk. And so, they ended up having to stop him and yada, yada, yada. Point is, that was kind of a big thing that the Illuminati was responsible for behind the scenes making happen. You also had, just the run up to Civil War, where you end up with these, with the Illuminati kind of making the decisions prior to the Civil War to kind of prepare for the inevitable split that would end up happening. And over this kind of idea of the government needs to be more involved with the superheroes, and there needs to be more oversight and how certain heroes are going to react to that. So anyway, all that to say, yeah, man, the Illuminati's been around for a minute. It's surprising to introduce the concept of the Illuminati here. And obviously what we got in Multiverse of Madness is not the Illuminati of the comics, in the sense that it is not, their foundation was not the same for what the comics was. Here, the Illuminati just are essentially the Avengers, right? The Avengers by a different name.
Are they?
It seems to be the case. Like, they fought Thanos the same way our Avengers fought Thanos. So I think that's kind of what I get from it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. For Yeah, maybe.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
we're
That was my interpretation. Did you think that there was another Avengers on this planet?
I don't know because we didn't see a Thor, we didn't see a Hulk, we didn't see an Iron
Right.
Man, we didn't see, any of these other characters. And so, I mean, like, I don't know if they died during when they were fighting Thanos or something. But it seems like only Doctor Strange was the one who quote died fighting Thanos end quote
Right.
because he didn't really. But yeah,
Right.
I don't know. Like yeah, it seems interesting because not having too much, context from I knew about the Illuminati, so I figured this was the Illuminati of this Earth. I didn't think about whether or not it might have been like an Avengers equivalent on this Earth.
Nah, I think this is the Avengers equivalent. Now, I mean, admittedly, there's a lot that's implied on this Earth. We've got Ultron bots, and there's kind of a question of who made the Ultron bots and that sort of thing. You know, I would like to think. Well, okay, so let's. Let me ask you this real quick though. Are you familiar with the Cabal? Like, if you do, do you know the Cabal in Marvel Comics?
The name sounds familiar.
So this was during Dark Reign, when Norman Osborn kind of had control of the new
So the Dark Avengers.
the Dark Avengers, and he had reformed Shield into Hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he also established his own Illuminati that would become known as the Cabal. And same basic concept. You had all of these kind of more villainous people or people with more villainous ties to kind of operate and manage, their public images and everything else and some of these large world events with Norman Osborn at the head of it. So interestingly enough, though, you also had on that team Namor. So Namor was both a member of the Illuminati and the Cabal, which was interesting. And then you also had Emma Frost, who at the time was a hero, but was also trying to manage kind of the X-Men standing in the new, during, the Osborn world order, so to speak. So
Yeah.
it was an interesting time. It was an interesting time in comics. But I don't, I would love to see them explore the concept of the Cabal. Honestly, I hope that in this introduction of the Illuminati and the Multiverse of Madness, that we might one day actually see an actual Illuminati in the MCU. I think that could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, like the concept has been, brought up here, but the question remains is, do we have a Fantastic Four? Do we have an X-Men in our universe?
Well,
And if
not as of yet, and therein lies the challenge. All right, we are about 10 minutes into this review, and we have talked nothing but Illuminati, and this was Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And there, my friend, and primarily lies my problem with this movie and the marketing surrounding it. They really hyped up the Illuminati in this movie, right? We knew there was going to be Wanda, we knew there was going to be Doctor Strange, and we knew because they just pounded in little teasers, little hints. Luckily, you stepped out of this, but we heard Patrick Stewart's voice, we saw the yellow shine of his chair, and all of these little
See,
teasers.
I missed that bit.
I wish I
And
had
so
missed that bit. Yeah.
I was so glad I did because when I saw, they're going to the Illuminati. I saw, Baron Mordo's, like, that makes sense. Like, he should be the villain in this movie because of how they set up the last one. And Black Bolt, I was like, that's really cool. They're bringing in some human stuff. Then John Krasinski, I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel, that made sense, in an alternate universe. And then Professor X came in. And I was like, oh, holy crap, it's Professor X. That's awesome. Didn't see it coming. Like, why would you spoil that in the trailers? Why?
I know that was terrible, but that's the thing. They just really pounded in the marketing. Like, this is the Illuminati will meet you now. They were really, really hammering that concept of this movie has the Illuminati and all these different characters. And I guess part of that was playing off of the success of Spider-Man and having all of these different kind of villains teased and everything else. And I wish they wouldn't have done that, because every single multiversal cameo in Spider-Man was critical to the plot line of the movie. Like the multiple Spider-Men that show up don't just show up for a cameo. They're critical. They each have their own arcs. They're critical to the storyline. Here, the Illuminati felt so, disposable. Not just because Wanda freaking mopped the floor with them, but they felt so disposable in the way in which they were used in the storyline that I almost kind of wish we hadn't got them.
Yeah, so that was interesting, right? Like, so my just overall take, I enjoyed the movie. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was entertaining, and I enjoyed watching it. My weird thing that first thought when I came out is it didn't feel like a Doctor Strange movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Did it feel like a Sam Raimi movie? Because that's been the big kind of talk of the town. Is this was the most Sam Raimi of the movies that we've gotten, which makes sense because obviously Sam Raimi was directing it. But
yeah, it very much like it felt like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a reined in Sam Raimi. Sam
okay.
reined in.
But at the same time,
But
brutal, man. This was one of the goriest, like most brutal, scariest, I think, of all the Marvel films that we've gotten, of all the main, of all the Marvel the movies that we've gotten. In fact, this is the first one in a while that I don't feel like I could take my kids to. Like, and I didn't this time around. Normally, I take at least one of my daughters with me, but yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of chatter about that. And yeah, Sam Raimi movies are generally pretty violent and gory and scary and stuff. That's Sam Raimi's style, and I was excited to see that because I'm like, you're going to get a director like Sam Raimi, and you're not going to let him do what Sam Raimi does. And I saw some there were several scenes in the movie that were very, very Sam Raimi. I think the theme overall in some spots were, and in some spots it wasn't. Again, that's probably like Marvel's influence and whatnot. But I was glad to see Sam Raimi shine through. It was kind of like in Ant-Man when oh gosh.
I'm not going to help you because you kept on the entire time we reviewed Ant-Man. You're like, oh, just let, blah, blah, blah. This person, if we had just gotten his movie and everything, I was like, I didn't like some of his ideas.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
He also directed Hot Fuzz. He directed, Shaun of the Dead.
This is live
I know.
podcasting right now.
This is killing me.
And I don't even care.
Why is his name blanking on me?
Edgar
Wright. There we go.
Okay.
So yeah,
so I did help you. You're welcome, pal.
You didn't help me.
I did.
How dare you? No. So Edgar Wright. There were some very Edgar Wright style cuts in Ant-Man that I think were to pay homage to, I guess, his original, wanting to do the film, or maybe those were scenes that he filmed that they kept in. I don't know.
Right.
But this one, it didn't feel like this was like an homage to Sam Raimi. It felt like there were scenes that were very Sam Raimi, and so that's what I appreciated. But I don't feel like it was 100% a Sam Raimi movie.
It felt a little disjointed. I mean, there were some very scary kind of moments and horror elements, but it's almost like the movie stopped. And then we had kind of those scenes. I'm thinking specifically of the one where they were like down in the basement and Wanda was chasing them, and everything kind of slowed down for a minute. And we got that sequence, which I've heard a lot of people praise. And it's not that it's a bad sequence, but it feels a little disconnected from the rest of the movie. Similar to when she first started attacking him in the sanctum, and she was kind of like popping up through the mirrors and everything else. Like, that was a cool sequence, but it didn't seem to flow as well with the rest of the movie. So the most Sam Raimi moments seemed less connected with the rest of the movie. So you almost do kind of feel a bit of a tug of war that's going on here.
Kind of, yeah. Like the scenes that I'm specifically referring to, like there's the one at the beginning when I guess Spanish speaking Doctor Strange. I'm not sure what they called that one. But
yeah.
When he gets killed by the weird scroll monster.
Yeah.
And his face hits the ground, it's looking directly at the camera. That's a very Sam Raimi thing with like the big, makeup cuts and stuff on there.
Right.
And then when the spirits
Strange.
of the dead.
Yeah.
When the spirits of the dead are attacking Christine in the Annihilated universe, where our Doctor Strange is dreamwalking, where they're like the camera's like focusing in on her, and it's like coming down like to sort of simulate them attacking us. So that's a very Sam Raimi kind of scene. And yeah, so like there were those things in there, and there were some other things. Oh, dogs are barking. Okay. And there's some other kind of scenes, and stuff like that, that sort of fit in. But yeah, overall, it didn't seem like an entirely Sam Raimi sort of movie. There was still some sort of Marvel-y stuff in there. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of disjointed. But right. I think overall, it didn't necessarily pull me out of the film. But I just enjoyed seeing Sam Raimi-ness in there.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Let's talk about America Chavez. A new character introduced into the series here, has the visually amazing and super cool power set of being able to punch holes into the multiverse. I love this. I love that it's not just that she's like phase shifting or something like that, or even just like a traditional like open up a bubble type deal, but she has like this punch that like with like lightning stars. It looks so awesome.
Yeah, it's a really cool power set. It's kind of interesting because it's very like geometric, right? It's a star shape.
Hey, what we learned, that's what we learned in Spider-Man is that the mirror universe is just geometry, right? So like that's the thing.
Yeah, but it's from seeing like energy blasts and like other stuff like that. It was very interesting to see a power that was not that, right? That
Yes, had a little bit more of a uniqueness, a visual flair all its own.
Yeah.
Loved the character, loved the backstory. Felt she was very underused as a character. She seemed mostly just kind of like the MacGuffin of the film, right? Like Wanda,
she was the plot device.
Exactly. Yeah. Wanda needed her for her powers, and at the same time, we also need her to be able to defeat Wanda, and so we get this like extremely like tragic backstory with this like insanely traumatizing event for her childhood, and then she just kind of like, and then she kind of keeps walking, and it's like, whoa, okay, do we need to like spend some time on that?
Yeah, I mean? Like we need to, maybe we should help you process that.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a insanely traumatic thing for a kid to go through, and like even just like her bouncing around the multiverse her entire life. We get one comment about like, first rule of multiverse travel is, find food, and great little cameo, of course, there with your boy Bruce Campbell. But
you can't have a Sam Raimi movie without Bruce Campbell.
This is known. But ultimately, like that's it. Like, in terms of like her either trying to explain the multiverse or kind of sharing more about her multiversal travels or, anything there, we don't really get that. Even at the end, when it's, they're like, all right, let's go to the sanctum, and you're gonna be a I was about to say a Jedi, but a wizard now, and that's cool, but like, shouldn't we like immediately start working on the like rescue plan for her mom's? Like that seems as though what we need to do, right? Like,
yeah, like
right?
I was kind of surprised that they didn't have any kind of thing to say, all right, well, we've fixed this, let's go save your moms. And they were just like, nah, you're gonna train to be a wizard, and then I guess maybe in 10-15 years, if they're still alive, you can go find them.
Yeah, I mean, like, we'll just presume dead. We're just gonna presume dead. Like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So yeah, I felt like that was a little disappointing, although I will say that I do get that we have through the course of phase 4 been constantly introduced to young Avengers, right? Like we've seen Patriot, we've seen Kid Loki, we've seen Wanda's boys, we've seen obviously here American Chavez, we've seen the new Hawkeye. So we've gotten introduced to a lot of these characters. We got Miss Marvel, who's coming up here on a new Disney Plus series very soon. So we've got these young Avengers are being cascaded out there. And one assumes that we will be seeing a major young Avengers. I don't know if it'll be a Disney Plus series. I don't know if it'll be a movie. Depending on how many they have, I think maybe a Disney Plus, given that they are so cascaded around, maybe a Disney Plus series makes more sense than a movie, but I don't know. This is the first time in this film that we've actually gotten a chance to see the Disney Plus movies, or rather series, impacting the primary, movies themselves with not a whole lot of hand-holding. In this movie, we get, the notion of Wanda, who, if you've just been watching the movies and haven't watched the Disney Plus series, last time you saw her, she was mourning Vision at the end of Endgame. And now all of a sudden she's got kids and the Darkhold, and she's evil and she's a witch, and like, you're like, what? They do nothing to tell you what has happened. And even with the series, like, we don't really talk about what happened to Vision or anything like that. We just jump straight into Wanda's been studying the Darkhold, which, by the way, if you haven't been watching WandaVision, you don't know what that is. So props to Marvel for really, like, this to me is the first time that it really feels like the Disney Plus series and the big movies are in the same universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I would like to talk to somebody who hasn't seen all the stuff. Like maybe they've seen all the movies, but they haven't gone out and watched any of the shows to see how much sense everything made, because that's what I'm really curious about. You know, like did they do a good enough job to where, like, for those of us who watch the show, like, everything makes sense and that's really, really cool. But for those who haven't seen all of the extra stuff, um, was it still satisfying to see Wanda from, going to be a hero to going to be a villain?
Right.
Like, did that feel weird and jarring?
I see. Yeah. It'd be curious. I'd be curious to know as well. Now, admittedly, this is a little bit of a different scenario because, WandaVision came out like right in the middle of the lockdown, right? Like, so everybody and their grandma watched WandaVision. It was like the only new television anything at that moment in time. And, the ratings were incredibly high. It was very good for Disney Plus. And I remember having conversations with people who were really not like super into Marvel, asking me so many questions because they were so confused by that series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I will say that a lot of people probably, are not going to be overly confused with that one, but I'm more curious, for the future, like, especially with something like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or, I guess Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the only other one so far that's had like major implications. Like Hawkeye can show up with the sidekick and I don't think anybody's going to bat an eye in a movie. But
if Hawkeye doesn't show up and it's just not Haley. Is it Haley? No.
Kate Bishop.
Kate
Bishop.
It's
Very
it is not my
funny,
day today.
Kate Bishop. Oh, Kate Bishop.
Yeah, but I think if Kate Bishop just showed up, I mean, they could do like a throwaway line where you're like, yeah, where's Hawkeye? It's like, oh yeah, he's retired. I'm his replacement. And like, oh, okay, cool.
This is true. No, but this one relied heavily on WandaVision. How do you feel about the fact that Wanda became insane, like extremely irredeemable very quickly?
I thought Elizabeth Olsen plays a really good villain.
Oh,
I
Elizabeth
thought she
Olsen's
did
fantastic.
so good. Yeah, like playing an evil Wanda, I think she was just born to do that. She did so good in that role. I like, yeah, I mean, watching WandaVision and like it just broke her, right? The whole series of events there just broke her. And she's been through so much already, right? Like she even says it, I tore a hole in the man I love's head and it meant nothing. And like everything that she's done, like, the Avengers saved everybody, but they didn't save Vision. They didn't really do anything for her. And I think it makes sense,
This is true. Even when WandaVision was exploring how she was dealing with losing Pietro, it was only really Vision who was there comforting her. They lived in the compound together. I don't think anybody else, maybe Steve, but nobody else was really there. And so, and then on top of that, when Vision is like her sole, I guess, not security blanket, but catch it when you fall, safety net. Like he's her sole safety net, and then he's gone in the most traumatic way possible. And then but that's the thing. WandaVision gave us the opportunity to explore her trauma through, enslaving an entire town and causing like a ton of pain and turmoil for all of these different people, and really kind of established her as a villain. But it did so in a way in which a lot of people, I don't think, really fully understood that she was the villain of that story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people kind of came into this movie and felt like it was a little surprising that she was such a villain. And I will give credit to the, I will agree that I think that they made her irredeemable very quickly, in a way that felt, I will admit, jarring. Even if you've seen WandaVision, even if you've known everything she's going through, even if you kind of like chop it up to the Darkhold, she became irredeemable. Like it felt, Anakin Skywalker felt less forced. I'll put it that way. Like I'm serious. Like Anakin killing Mace Windu, like felt more organic than her just absolutely slaughtering the source, like all these sorcerers in like very brutal ways, and then just absolutely wiping the floor in, again, very brutal ways with the Illuminati. Man, chopping freaking Captain Carter in half.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot. There's a lot. They took Wanda down a very, very dark path, like way darker than where she was in WandaVision, where she was already a villain.
Well, she said that her attacking Carmitage was reasonable, and then
The way in
they
which she killed people was not reasonable. Like, go back. Like, there's some brutal deaths in there. It's one thing to be like, I'm going to bombard you. The other thing, too, is she literally has the power to rewrite reality. She could actually go in and do that in kind of a non-lethal way.
yeah, but that's I don't know. Yeah, no. I think it made sense to me, and I enjoyed it. Like, she's extremely powerful. The chaos magic that's in here is not a good force, right?
No.
Like the
Yeah,
Scarlet
yeah,
Witch
yeah.
is not a good entity, and the Darkholm is not going to help that out. And so I think all that makes sense. It was just the tipping point, right? Like that was the straw that broke the camel's back that sent her way beyond. I mean, and plus, like freaking essentially kidnapping an entire town to like act out her dreams.
Childhood fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's not cool. That's not redeemable. Like, how do you redeem that?
Hey, not cool. Not
Yeah.
cool, Wanda.
So yeah, I mean, like, if you come out of WandaVision going, oh, it's okay, Wanda can still be a hero. I think
No, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that she could still be a hero. I mean, I agree that that is irredeemable in and of itself. I think there's a difference in a crime in which everybody, yes, those people are walking away from that heavily traumatized. There's a lot of damage done. There's a lot of damage done, and I'm not trying to say that that's not the case. But hurting and killing are two different things, and I think that and then on top of that, it's not just like murder. It's the brutality of it that I think communicates that there's something with Wanda that she can't be trusted. Like it. We may need a Wolverine here. You know what I mean? Like, it may be time for Wanda to for an Illuminati to take care of. Maybe she's the reason why we get an actual Illuminati. You know what I mean?
well, I mean, she was taken care of at the end of the movie.
I don't know that that's true.
Well, I don't know. Like all the stones and stuff came down, and you see that big explosion of red. I kind of assumed that was her killing herself.
Elizabeth Olsen still has she re-upped her contract with Marvel for a few more films.
Did she now?
She did. So now, granted, we know that a lot of movies are taking place earlier in the timeline. So there's very much a possibility that that's the case. Goodness, what did I just see? I think I just saw an article that said that Secret Invasion is actually going to take place during the blip. Not that impacts Wanda, but just shows that they're still doing this thing where they're telling stories from various points in the timeline.
So that's interesting. Like I've been real curious about what they're going to do with Phase 4. Like how do you up Thanos? Like, are we not going to do an Avengers movie again?
I think eventually we will, but I don't think there's going to be one for Phase 4. I think that this is the experimental phase, man. They're trying some different things. We've got the Disney Plus series. My guess is whatever the Avengers level event's going to be is probably going to be a Disney Plus series.
Really?
Well, I mean, the Phase 4 kicked off with the Disney Plus series. I think that's that's right. Yeah, it kicked off with a Disney Plus series, so I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah.
But we got a lot going on. We got, we still have this kind of theoretical Thunderbolts / Dark Avengers that are being put together, although we haven't heard much about that in a while. We still have the cosmic nature of what's going on here with the multiverse. I mean, the multiverse is you want to ask, like, all right, well, how do you top Thanos? You got to remember, this phase is not about topping Thanos. It's about topping Loki. And so, because Loki was the first, was the Phase 1 villain.
That's true. Yeah.
And so I think the big capper here is that you have kind of, I don't know if it's going to be Kang. It might be Kang. We'll have to kind of explore that more with Loki season 2 and with Ant-Man. But given the fact that Kang is popping up in these different places and the multiverse itself is popping up, we keep hearing about incursions, right? Like, this movie ended on a cliffhanger that there's going to be an incursion, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so theoretically, I think Secret Wars is probably where we're headed, with Kang kind of being the stand-in for the Beyonder, would be my guess.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
That could be neat. Yeah. I could see that.
So we'll see. We'll definitely see. Couple cool things from this movie. Defender Strange becoming like the fact that the zombie that we kept on seeing from the promotional material ended up being our Doctor Strange possessing the Defender Strange's corpse. Fantastic. Loved that.
Yeah, that was super cool. That was very Raimi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
The exploration of the multiverse, when they're kind of going through it, you learn that when you go into a different universe, you take on the visual properties of that universe. So at one point, for example, Doctor Strange became paint. He also became animated. This means that a couple of things. It means that the Professor Xavier that we got, if he is from another universe, it's very well that he could be from the cartoons, because the cartoon version would step into a physical universe.
It's funny you mention that.
Yeah,
because all like when he was doing like his telepathy, the little circles that came out, that's very much from the cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
With holding his the hand to the temple and like pointing a hand up, very much from the cartoon. I was in the wheelchair itself is very much from the cartoon. I was almost convinced that was the cartoon version of Professor X. But,
obviously, yeah, very inspired for sure. But we don't necessarily know that it is, except for, like I said, it is possible because that's what they showed. It also, by the way, is possible that we could see this means that they could easily bring the Watcher from What If into the live action, and he would, yes, he would look like the live action version because when you're in whatever universe you're in. You take on the properties of that universe. So I think that's a really, really cool revelation, and it opens up the doors with how they can experiment with things like Secret Wars. They could, for example, theoretically bring in Secret Wars animated characters from the 90s or otherwise in live action form. So we could see the Wolverine from the Uncanny X-Men pop into this universe. They could bring Hugh Jackman back, but instead of him playing the Wolverine from the live action X-Men, he could be playing the ones from the cartoon, or he'd probably be playing the one from the live action. Who knows? But they could do that if they wanted to. So I think
if he wanted to.
I don't think Hugh Jackman would turn down the opportunity to be in an MCU movie as Wolverine.
Probably not.
Like that, just like first of all, he owns that role, and that would just cap it off. I think that's happening.
I mean, they need to hurry because he's not getting any younger.
Well, he's not getting that much older either, man. Like every single time he gets older, somehow he's Benjamin Buttoning his whole thing.
It's so weird how all these rich people can just like stay young forever.
You just inject the money straight into the muscles, and it eats the fat and just converts it to muscle. Yeah,
it's gotta be.
Don't try that at home, by the way. That's a joke. Anyways, so. Other cool things. Oh, the cape, the spirits of the dead, the kind of him wrapping that into his own cape. Thought that was really awesome.
Yeah.
Christine obviously coming back in this movie, getting a chance to kind of see a pseudo, what if their relationship could be, was really sweet. Thought that was nice. Mordo got done dirty. He was supposed to be the villain for the sequel, and they totally threw that out the window and theoretically killed him. There was a scene originally where Wanda was going to show up, or he was going to show up to hunt down Wanda, and then Wanda kills him at the beginning of this movie. They didn't show that, so theoretically Mordo could still be alive in this universe. Difficult to say. And I think, I think that's my main notes. What about you, Matt? Any other thoughts about the movie?
Yeah. So the big thing that I had about this is, I mentioned it before. It's a Doctor Strange movie. It didn't really feel like a Doctor Strange movie to me. I liked that we got a really cool arc for Wanda, that we got a excellent villain. Elizabeth Olsen did an excellent job playing a villainous Wanda Maximoff. Thought that was wonderful. But the issue that I had was that this is Doctor Strange, right? He's supposed to be the Sorcerer Supreme, and he's not the Sorcerer Supreme. I thought it was a clever bit in Spider-Man: Far From Home, where he blipped, and so Wong had to take up the role of Sorcerer Supreme. But I figured that's something that they would resolve in this movie, and that Doctor Strange would be the Sorcerer Supreme again, because that's who he is. That's what he's supposed to be. And at the end, it's Doctor Strange bowing to Wong as the Sorcerer Supreme. I like Wong. I think Wong's a cool character. But like, Doctor Strange is supposed to be the Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh, get off your high horse. It's Wong for the win, man. What you talking about?
I like Wong. But I'm saying,
but you don't like Wong as Sorcerer Supreme.
Doctor Strange is supposed to be Sorcerer Supreme, right?
He was, yeah.
He was.
It's the
But
MCU, man. They make changes. They twist it up a little bit.
yeah, I don't know. It just felt like
Okay.
just weird. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That was just an issue because I figure that's like kind of a part of his character, you know?
Can I mess with your mind really quick?
Sure.
Okay. Do you know the actor's name that plays Wong?
Um,
Look it up right
yes.
now.
Benedict Wong.
His name is Benedict Wong.
And
Doctor Strange is played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and Wong is Wong. Wong's playing Wong. He's playing Benedict Wong. The Multiverse of Madness. He is the Multiverse of Madness.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, okay.
But yeah, so that was just something that kind of irked me. Like I figured that would be a thing that, you know, because it feels like we're going backwards with his character, which is odd.
Are we though? Because I feel like he's more at peace now, and I think that was kind of a big thing with. Because I thought about it afterwards. I was like, what exactly? What was his arc in this movie? That bothered me a little bit, trying to figure out exactly what his arc was, and I couldn't really figure it out. You know, he didn't really go on a journey in my mind.
Well, again, it didn't really feel like a Doctor Strange movie to me. Like
Right.
the question that was asked and that was, I guess, answered was, "Are you happy?" You know, like that was his thing. Is like, "Are you happy?" He's trying to be happy, and so he needs like, did he is he happy now? Like, did he come to terms with, you know, his relationship with Christine? Like, I mean, that's again, that's another complaint that I have about this movie is that it didn't feel like a Doctor Strange movie. I like that we got the Illuminati. I like that we got a completely villainous, super powerful Scarlet Witch. You know, I thought those things were neat and they were fun to watch and stuff. But like, I'm watching a Doctor Strange movie, I would expect to see the character having the biggest growth would be the main character.
Right.
And we didn't really see that, at least in my opinion. I mean, maybe I missed something. I don't know. I was drinking a salted caramel milkshake that was delicious, and
Alamo Draft House, baby.
Yeah, perhaps that clouded, you know, the deliciousness of the milkshake clouded my judgment. But yeah, I just didn't feel like we got a really we got any kind of arc for Strange, that we got a Strange movie. This should have been the Multiverse of Madness featuring Doctor Strange.
You're right, exactly. I think honestly, if there was a arc at all, I don't know if it was "Are you happy" so much as "Are you content?" Because it seems like contentedness is where he kind of finds himself at the end of the movie more so than happy per se. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, overall disappointing. I mean, like, I think that's just like the word that I have for this movie. There's a lot of cool things, a lot of cool visuals. I've heard that it's better on a second watch through. So once it comes out for streaming, I intend to give it another go. That being said, it just didn't quite do what I had hoped. You know, what my kind of hopes were for the movie. I had such high expectations for this one. And maybe that's on me. If anything, I'm trying to like bring my expectations for Thor down a little bit, because I've also been really looking forward to Thor: Love and Thunder. So, you know.
So let me tell you this. So like the original Doctor Strange was is probably one of my most favorite MCU movies. Like I can watch that one over and over again.
Yes.
And I think that was in large part due to Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill, the director and writer respectively. And so, like, they did such a great job. They understood the character, like the visuals and stuff in the film were great. Tilda Swinton, I mean, come on, like it was really, really good movie. And so I was super excited when they were coming on to direct the sequel. And then when they left due to like creative differences and whatnot, I was kind of worried. It was the same thing. Like I like Ant-Man as well. I think Ant-Man is also another one of those ones I can watch over and over again. But I would, you know, the I guess creative differences in that film. I'm not sure exactly what Edgar Wright wanted to do.
Well, have you not watched Rescue Rangers?
No.
I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but you find out specifically the original plan was for it to be Ant-Man, and the idea was that his superpower was he was just really charming with people's aunts.
That's good. I also heard that the poorly done CGI Sonic is in the Rescue Rangers movie?
Oh, that is a massive. I'm cutting that out of the podcast because
Oh, okay.
that right there is a massive spoiler if people haven't seen Rescue Rangers, and it is fan-freaking-tastic. Like,
I'm sorry. I didn't think that would have been that much of a spoiler.
no. Well, maybe the fact that is such a spoiler is such a spoiler, but regardless, like yeah, that's
I just saw a picture of him at like some convention or something like that on some tweet, and so I was like, "Oh, that's funny."
You need to see Rescue. You like, what are you doing today? You need to like stop what you're doing and watch. It's a good movie, man. Like it's Who Framed Roger Rabbit of our time. Like it's really really good.
Okay. Well, but all that stuff said, yeah, like when they left the project, when Derrickson and Cargill left the project, because one of my friends is friends with Cargill. And I've met him several times, played Warhammer with him here in Austin. But my friend Matt is good friends with him. They chat all the time and stuff. And so I was talking to Matt the other day about Doctor Strange shortly before it came out, and he had asked Cargill, so like, what was it about it? Like, why did you guys leave? And he's like, well, obviously I can't really say anything about it, but basically. I don't know if he probably didn't explain the plot or anything, but like essentially what he was saying was that it wasn't the direction that they wanted to go was not a Doctor Strange film, and
that Marvel wanted
that Marvel wanted to go.
Okay,
yeah. Cargill and Derrickson had these ideas that they wanted to go. They initially they wanted to do like basically like a straight up horror movie kind of thing,
right.
because there's a lot of like really cosmic horror sort of things in Doctor Strange in the original source material, like in the comic books. So.
Sure.
Marvel liked that idea, but they didn't like the direction they were going with it, I guess. And so they decided to leave the project. And so they got Sam Raimi because, he's an excellent horror director. And so they kind of kept that in there, but like I don't think it was as far as certainly not as far as Derrickson wanted to take it, and probably not even as far as Raimi wanted to take it.
I was about to say, because like whilst it was very violent and everything, it just felt that element, the fact that it kind of went back and forth between being a horror movie and not being a horror movie, felt weird. Like it would have been better if they had just gone full one way or the other, I think.
Well, and Raimi's really good about the horror comedy, mashup. Like go watch Evil Dead 2. And like it's wonderful. Yeah, it's got that, like Evil Dead's a straight up horror movie. If you don't like horror movies, you probably won't like that one.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Evil Dead 2 is he turns the comedy up. Like that's where you really kind of see his style. And then Army of Darkness is just like a straight up comedy with some horror stuff in it. That's it's more funny though. But Dark Man, that one's a really good sort of scary sort of movie. But yeah, like And having watched the film, I kind of agree with what Cargill said, that it didn't really feel like a Doctor Strange movie. All that said, though, I still enjoyed it. But I kind of wanted more Doctor Strange in my Doctor Strange.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And so again, I'm not disappointed with the things that we did get to see, but since I did like the original Doctor Strange so much, having this one feel less like a Doctor Strange movie and more like here's some really cool multiverse stuff, but we also have Doctor Strange who's navigating us through this multiverse. And like we have this really cool villain who's going to like kill a bunch of people in the multiverse.
Right.
Yeah. And it didn't feel as like, Doctor Strangey, I guess.
No, that makes sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. Out of 5, man, what are you giving this one?
I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
I think I'm gonna give it like a 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't do it for me, man. Maybe my expectations were too high, but I just felt let down. I thought there was a lot of concepts that they wrote a lot of checks that they didn't cash, and I'm worried about how they're going to cash them. I love Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, but the way in which he was presented makes me wonder whether or not they're actually going to go with Krasinski for Mr. Fantastic. And so, like, I kind of, he looked great in the suit.
Yeah.
I believe he can pull it off. I would really like to see that. And so I really felt the Illuminati was way over marketed and way for how it was underused. And I felt Doctor Strange didn't really have an arc as much as I really love Wanda as a villain, and felt like she was a villain at the end of WandaVision. I felt that here she went too far. She went too dark too quick. She was already pretty dark. Don't get me wrong, but like it felt forced, and that's with somebody who very much saw WandaVision and understood what was going on fully. So, yeah, I'm gonna give it a 2.5. I think that's it for me, but we'll see what ends up happening. We got Thor: Love and Thunder right around the corner here. We've got Miss Marvel. We've got a lot of great Marvel content that's coming up. Phase 4 continues to go on and go strong, and we shall see what we shall see here in the near future. All right, Bell, any kind of final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Well, okay, I want to say I want to give it a 3 because I was initially going to give it a 3 because I thought you might have given it a 3, but I wanted our reviews to be different. So
I'm going to give it 0.5 higher than you. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted it to be different. I don't know. I'm weird, but yeah. So to revise it, I would say probably a solid 3. I mean, it's enjoyable, it's entertaining, but yeah, all that kind of stuff. Another thing you were saying, so you were worried about Thor: Love and Thunder. It's still I can never say his name right.
I'm not Thor. I'm not worried about it. I'm just saying that maybe because my expectations were so high for, like, just because something's a Marvel doesn't mean that it's going to be good. You know what I mean? There's enough Marvel out there that you can be disappointed by a thing.
Yes, but
Taika Waititi is what you're trying to say.
Taika, there we go. Taika Waititi. Yeah, I always confuse the syllables. So he did great with Ragnarok, right? And he's still doing this movie. And so I feel like because of the success of that one, that they're going to let him kind of do what he wants to do. And so I don't have that worry. I think he's got enough of a vision that Marvel's safe with to let him kind of explore and do the stuff that he wants to do. So I'm super excited about that one.
We'll see. I mean, I'm don't get me wrong. I am super excited about it as well. I'm just trying to manage my expectations after this. I also the other thing too with that one, if I have any, I don't know if it's concerns, it's just the reality that Taika is hilarious. Like his tone for Thor is so much fun and so funny, and Gore the God Butcher is not. So I'm just very curious to see how they end up blending kind of the fun that we've seen in the trailers with the existential and otherwise threat that is Gore the God Butcher. So I'm just curious. I'm just curious to see what we end up getting.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, well, that's going to do it for us. Let us know your thoughts on Doctor Strange Mom. No, not Belle's mom. The movie Doctor Strange Mom. That's the one.
Doctor Strange : Mom.
There it is. Go ahead and tweet us into the show at TV Talk FM is the place to do it. You can find all of our contact information and more at You can find all of our contact information and more at tvtalk.fm. By the way, we've got some minis headed your way for the new Kenobi series. Be sure to check that out. Because this episode's going out this week, I think the next episode of The Flash is going to be a mini. So, yeah, this will be the full episode for this week, and then the Flash TV Talk for this week will be a mini, and then we'll probably be back for...
How dare you?
It's just the way the scheduling is crazy. We got so much stuff, Belle. We've got too much stuff. Keep making this stuff for us, and we're like, we're full, but they're like, no, keep eating. Here, eat this. So anyway, all right, that's gonna do it for us for today. So, but for me, for Belle's mom,
hi, Mom.
We'll be back in a flash. Yeah.
And scene.
All right.
I have watched Kenobi.
What'd you think?
So I mean, it was fun. I don't know why. The little girl who plays Leia is so good in that role.
Mm-hmm. She reminds me of my daughter.
Yeah, I don't know why we need Leia in a Kenobi series.
I didn't bother. I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool that we got little Leia.
I don't know. It's
because we can't get little Luke. Like Kenobi can't interact with Luke, and so it's kind of a way in which, he needs to his whole arc right now seems to be about confronting his pain, and so in order to do that, you have to thrust him back with people and situations that are going to bring him there. And so Leia seems the obvious choice. Plus it allows for the whole it's poetry, it rhymes situation of help me Obi-Wan Kenobi type. And but
it's like years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars and you rescued me from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
It adds an additional, I don't know. I guess to me, it also kind of adds an additional, like knowing smile in the one where he kind of tells Luke like we gotta rescue her. I'm getting too old for this sort of thing. The fact that he's kind of walked this path before. I don't know. It didn't bother me, but it's one of those things that I was like, dang it, people are gonna complain about this. I don't have a problem with it, but I know that people are gonna have a problem with it.
I don't know. Yeah. Can we explore the character without having to tie in everything in the universe?
Well, I mean, can we explore Batman without having to deal with the fact that his parents are dead?
Sure.
I mean, okay, maybe, but we typically don't. You know what I mean? Like, that's the it's a core part of the character. It's a core part of the character.
What, him rescuing Leia from the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
No, that the failure, like the entire universe collapsed because he failed with Anakin. So,
yes, and I think that is, yeah, you're right, that is central. But like, we don't have to pull in Leia or that other stuff. Like, we could have the Inquisitors. We could have
no, we don't have to.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't need a Grogu.
I think I think it's an exploration of Alderaan too. Is kind of cool, like, because we never really, we know it gets blown up, but that doesn't really mean anything to us. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, we can explore Alderaan though. We can show Leia, but like, do we have to have Leia interact with Obi-Wan?
We don't have to.
Well, I guess that's just, like, all of these explorations are fine, but like, I don't see how they have to tie in. I don't know.
Yeah, well, a little bit of extra Kenobi TV talk for you. By the way, we're still live, so I was about to go ahead and shut us down here. Yeah, go ahead. Finish your thought, though.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We can explore these things, but I don't know. At some point, I don't need to know how Luke got his, T-16 Skyhopper toy.
But see, like, okay, yeah.
Although I like the interaction between Owen and Ben. I really do.
That's the one that I think is the most interesting, right?
Yeah, because like, that's the thing, is like, there needs to be animosity there, and they can explore that. Because that's something that I think is fundamental to his exile. And like, you have Owen, who, because of all this stuff that's happened, is now, he has to take care of this kid, and he really wants to do a good job with it, but like, at the same time, he's risking his family by harboring this kid, and
he's
stuff.
actively raised him for 10 years.
Yeah, there is story there, and there's stuff that we can build there, and there's drama there, and like, so there are these other things that I don't necessarily like. We don't need to do other. I don't know. I guess, like, again, I love that the little girl that plays Leia is so good. She's so sassy, and she's so good in that role. I don't think it's pivotal to an Obi-Wan story.
It shakes him out. All right, I'll put it this way, Bill. If it was anybody else, I don't think Obi-Wan would have left the planet. The reason why Leia matters is because Luke matters. They're the two kids, and so like that. Go ahead.
But the storyline doesn't matter.
No, so the point is that what we're trying to we need Obi-Wan. What would take the question is, if we're gonna have a Kenobi series where he leaves Tatooine, which maybe you don't want, but I do. I like the idea of Obi-Wan having to like re-engage with the universe and kind of take this like one last fight. I think that's a cool concept. So I'm cool with them leaving Tatooine. But then there's the question of, he has the sacred duty to protect the savior of the galaxy. So what is the one thing that would pull him out? Well, that exact same thing. Like she is also one of the two last hopes of the universe. And so, Luke is relatively safe-ish. Obviously, we get kind of that proof that the Larses are not about to sell out Luke in this. So we get kind of that confirmation that he is safe with his aunt and uncle, at least for the moment. And so, yeah, like that, I think, no, when you think about it, it actually makes a ton of sense that it would have to be Leia in this context. Well, if you want a story where Obi-Wan leaves Tatooine, and if you don't, that's a whole nother thing. But
I disagree. I think there are other ways that he could leave Tatooine.
Why would he leave? Why would he leave Luke unprotected?
Because the pressure on him is so great, and that he has to leave the planet to deflect the attention away from the Larses and from Luke. And
the heat is on him, but
and so he draws them off planet, right? And we have our chases around the planets where he's fighting Inquisitors and stuff like that. And once he's dealt with the threat,
I think we're gonna get
then
that,
he
by
comes
the way.
back.
Yeah, I think
Right,
I think that's where... Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, but it doesn't. We don't need Leia in that for him to leave planet. Like it could be because like this one Jedi that was killed. You know, they threatened to kill Owen Lars, right? Like in town. So it's like the thing. Like there was enough pressure there for him.
I like it being his choice, though. Like that takes away the element of choice to some extent. Now he's just constantly. Now he's being hunted for not a choice that he took. I think Leia provides the opportunity for that choice. You just don't like it whenever they incorporate like, no, it's too close to canon. Don't give us that. Or no, that's something we've already seen. We don't want to see the thing we've already seen. Jurassic World. This is all about Jurassic World all over again, Bell.
Well, there's nothing with canon with this. It feels like.
No, this is there's a lot of things they've done that I'm a little concerned about, honestly, when it relates to canon. And it seems as though they killed the head Inquisitor, which he ain't supposed to die like that. So that's
like I thought he was a big Clone Wars person.
No, Rebels. He's a big Rebels person.
Oh, a big Rebels person. I was like, so you're just gonna punk out this like it's like
dies in Rebels is the thing, and he doesn't die like that. So I got questions.
See,
I got questions.
See, I'm not all wrong.
No, that is a legitimate concern right there. It's like there's like tremors of canonical changing some stuff that I'm like, what are you doing? What you doing? And then there's the other aspect where the Inquisitor, the third sister, knows that Anakin and Vader are the same person. I'm like, if she knows that for some reason, then that's cool. But if the galaxy knows that, that's a problem because like that's not supposed to be common knowledge. So I'm curious as to how they handle that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right.
We'll see.
Bell being more positive on the Multiverse of Madness than me, but me being more positive on Kenobi than Bell. There you go. You get a little flip there at the end.
Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan. It's just so great. I just have really high hopes for this series. And
in the image that people get for this little live stream, you in Multiverse of Madness, you were the Doctor Strange and I was the Wanda, but now you're the Wanda and I'm the Doctor Strange.
So I'll like for the little images for the quickies on Obi-Wan, I can be one of the Inquisitors and you can be Obi-Wan.
There you go. Something like that.
Yeah.
All right. This is going to do it. All right. Y'all have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later.